many times have I told you about putting the dishes in the dishwasher? You're supposed to be good at cleaning. That's all Mexicans are good for, and you can't even do that right. I came to America to find better opportunities for myself and my future. But moving in with my uncle and his wife quickly taught me that even though I was born in America, just because I'm part Mexican, people will still always look down on me. Even my own family. I was born in Texas. It's just that shortly after I was born, my father cheated on my mother. My mother is strong and determined, and she wasn't going to let someone do that to her. So she cradled me in her arms and moved back to Mexico, and we lived with my grandparents. Growing up with my mom and grandparents in Mexico was great. They were loving and supporting, and we got along really well. But my mother knew then what I was too young to know. America offered more and better opportunities for my future. So when I was 13, my mother and grandparents sent me to Arizona to live with my aunt and uncle. Sure, there was a bit of a culture shock, but I expected that. There was a language barrier. I didn't speak English very well, but I knew I could learn. But what I never expected was how my own family would treat me. At first, they opened their home to me. They provided me with an amazing opportunity, and I was happy to be in America. But I just never felt at home in that house. My uncle worked a lot, and he wasn't home much, so it was just my aunt and me most of the time. I had to fit in with a new American culture and with all the little things that my aunt did. There were all these little things my aunt had to correct me on. I always felt like a stranger, even in what should have felt like my own room. Out of the house, things were awesome. I was learning English, and though I still struggled, I felt proud of how much I was progressing. I was making friends and hanging out and going out on the weekends. I actually like learning, and maybe I'm a nerd, but school was actually fun for me. Then I'd come home, and my aunt would scream at me for something. Maybe not scream exactly. She didn't yell really loud. Just her voice and what she'd say was really mean. Living with them first felt like all those times when my family gathered together for a reunion or a holiday, and I'd be running around having fun with my cousins, and then we'd start to get into trouble. But when an aunt or uncle yells at you and your cousins for misbehaving, they do it a little nicer than your own parents. Sure, my cousins and I knew we were in trouble, but we also knew it wasn't harsh. Living with my aunt and uncle was like that. Like they were in charge, but not really. Nothing was really a punishment. At least, not at first. She'd always tell me in the meanest way possible that I did something wrong. That like my room was dirty, or I didn't put the dishes in the dishwasher the right way. And when I did it correctly, as she'd ask, then the problem would be that it wasn't done fast enough. She'd say to me, "You're Mexican. You're supposed to be good at cleaning. That's all Mexicans are good for, and you can't even do that right?" My uncle was always at work, and he never saw her do this. When he was home, she was always much nicer to me. My mother and I talked a lot on FaceTime, but I never let her know that I felt uncomfortable. I could see in her face when we talked how much she missed me. "Mi amor, how are you doing?" "I'm great. I got a B+ on my math test yesterday." "I'm so proud of you. How are your aunt and uncle?" "They're great. How are you?" "I'm wonderful." I knew if I asked her if I could come back, she would say yes. But I also knew she was trying to hide her feelings too because she didn't want me to come back and give up a great education and a good job in my future. I got it! I got it! I got it! I jumped up and down when I got home. I had gotten a scholarship to study at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. This was magical. This was a dream come true. All the studying, all the time away from my mom, all the problems with my aunt, they all were for the best in the end. My aunt saw me, and the first thing she said to me was, "You're Mexican. You shouldn't get a scholarship to an American school." She must have forgotten that I was born in Texas. My mom and I talked on FaceTime that evening. I got a scholarship, I told her. She was thrilled too, but she saw that I wasn't very happy. What's the matter? She said. I thought you would be happy about going to college. That was it. I couldn't keep it in anymore. I was so happy and proud about my accomplishments. And with just that one sentence, she had crushed everything I had worked so hard to achieve. I was just so upset that I told my mom what she said. It was easier to tell my mother than I thought it would be. She listened, and she was understanding the whole time. So I told her about everything else as well. My mom was shocked though. Why didn't you tell me a long time ago? I didn't want you to worry about me, I said. My mom told me how much she and my grandparents loved me and how proud they were of me. We promised each other we would never be quiet about things we needed to say to each other. And then she convinced me to tell my uncle. When I told him, he said, "Pack your things. We're moving out of here." I was shocked. But then he told me that he and my aunt were having problems too, and that he didn't say anything about my aunt because he didn't want to mess up my opportunities for school and a job. He didn't know I was staying silent too. So like with my mom, my uncle and I agreed that we'd always tell each other how we were feeling. When we moved into our new apartment, I right away felt so much more calm. When I came home, I wasn't worried about being yelled at or looking around the house wondering if I had done anything wrong. My bedroom feels like my bedroom now. My mother looks less worried when we talk on FaceTime. And my uncle and I talk a lot when we eat dinner together. He still works a lot, so we eat late, which makes it more special, as nerdy as that is. My mother and my uncle made a lot of sacrifices to give me better opportunities. I will always be thankful to them for that. I am also thankful for the fact that when I spoke to them about something that was hurting me, they fully supported me and were there for me. To think, had I not said anything, my uncle and I would never have known how the other felt, and we could have been stuck there for much longer. If something is making you feel bad, then you need to say something about it to someone you love and trust. I promise you, it will get better,